Hello everyone, I hope you're doing good and staying safe. Welcome to SimpliCode's YouTube channel, and in today's session, we'll be going through top 5 tricky SQL questions. I hope my audio is fine and the screen is clearly visible. If you guys are facing any issues, do let us know in the comment section below so that we'll fix it as soon as possible. Alright, as we all know, learning how to answer the SQL interview questions is a powerful skill which can make the difference between getting hired for the job or not. And nowadays, the competition for one job is quite high and many candidates are applying for the same position. So if you want to get hired, you cannot afford for not being prepared to present yourself as the best fit candidate for that particular job role. So in order to answer the interview questions, one of the main area where you can prepare the best is especially when it comes to the most common SQL interview questions, because these questions are asked during all the job interview questions, right? So in this session, we'll be discussing some SQL queries where you can practice them and which will also help you during your interviews as well. More on that soon. But before we get started, if you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed already, consider getting subscribed to our channel SimpliCode to stay updated with all the latest technologies. And hit that bell icon to never miss an update from us. So without any further ado, let's get started. So let us jump into MySQL Workbench in order to execute this top 5 tricky SQL queries. So let's get started. Alright, as you can see, MySQL Workbench has started. So firstly, let us look at some of the key things that you need to keep in mind while, preparing or answering the interview questions. Now, the general questions will revolve around key concepts like, asking the different types of commands in SQL, different constraints, indexes, views, joins, different functions, and etc. And at the same time, not just this theoretical and the scenario based questions rather than the objective questions wherein you can be asked to write a query, a proper SQL query wherein the interviewer wants to test your knowledge in deep, whether you're understanding the SQL queries or not. Now, this level of interview questions also entirely depend on the position that you're applying. So keeping in mind, I have already created 5 SQL questions that you might find tricky. So this might be useful for a beginner as well, which is the difficulty of the queries is from beginner level to moderate level. So you can easily answer these queries, but there is a bit of a tricky part in them as well, which we'll discuss as the session progresses. So before answering the queries, you have to be thorough with all the concepts of SQL. So we have a dedicated playlist on SQL wherein we have covered various topics on topics and concepts regarding SQL. So make sure you check that out before you start performing the queries. So let us discuss the queries one by one. So the first query is write an SQL query to fetch the third last record from employees table. So let me just open this new tab. Alright, let us now first display the records from the employee table, that is select star from employees. So as you can see, the employee table has various columns such as, employee ID, first name, last name, email, phone number, hiring date, job ID, salary, manager ID, and department ID. So the query that was asked is write an SQL query to fetch the third last record from this employee table. So if you scroll down a bit, and you can see the last record is William, and the third last record is Herman Bayer. So basically, we need to get the record of this employee who's having employee ID as 204, whose name is Herman Bayer, and he works as a PR, as a specialist on PR. So right. So basically, you can solve this, in different ways. So basically, the logical approach is using any window function, which we'll be discussing now, and sort the data in descending order, based on the employee ID, and then provide a row number to each of the record and fetch the record having row number as 3. I know it is a bit of confusing, so let us just directly write the query first so you guys can have a clear-cut understanding. Select, mention all the rows you want in your resultant table. So I am taking employee ID, their first name, their last name, department ID as well, salary from. Now we have to write a subquery in this, wherein we'll use select operator, select star, comma. Now we have to use a window function here. Now the window function which I'm going to use here is row number function. So the row number function is basically SQL ranking function that assigns a sequential ranking number to each new record in a partition. Now when the SQL row number function detects two identical values in the same position, it will assign different rank numbers to both. So the logic behind is that we'll be assigning row number to each of the records based on the employee ID, and then we'll find the third last record from this table. Alright, so row number, and I'll be using the over, which is the syntax, and we'll sort the data in descending order. So order by employee ID in descending order from the employee table, that is employees, where you have to mention the row number as well. So row number, so let us take the row number here as row number. This is basically a subtable, right? So you need to mention the row number as well, where row number is equals to 3, since we are finding the third last record from our table. So let us execute this and we'll see the output. So there is an error which says every derived table must have its own alias. So I think we forgot to mention the alias name for the table here. So let us take the alias name as employees E here, and let us take it as X. So it will basically be x.rn. So I think it is correct now. So as you can see, in our resultant set, we have got the resultant table, which is of Herman's Bayer record whose employee ID is 204, just as we discussed previously, which is the third last record in the table, who belongs to department ID 70 and his salary is $10,000. So in this way, you can simply use the window function row number to find the third last record from the table. So similarly, you might be asked to find the second last or fifth last in different contexts. So the scenario might be different, but the order and the approach to solve this query is the same. Alright, moving ahead, let us now discuss the second query. Now the second query states that from the Olympics table, fetch the details of all athletes who belong to the same country but have participated in different Olympic games. Alright, so let me just open another tab. So firstly, let us retrieve the details from the Olympics table, which is select star from Olympics. So the Olympic table has various attributes like ID, name, sex, age, height, weight, country, NOC, games, year, season, city, sports, and event. So what the query states is, from the Olympics table, fetch the details of all the athletes. So we are concerned with this column, which is name, which is the details of all the athletes who belong to the same country but have participated in different Olympic games. Now in the resultant set, we need to have the resultant table which has the details of all the athletes who are from the same country but have participated in different Olympic games here, like the 1992 summer, 2012 summer. So basically they have to be from the same country but different games. Now the logical approach to write this query is basically by using the self join to solve this problem, which is used to join a table to itself to compare the values within the same table. Alright, so let us discuss the query now. So again, in order to solve this query, you have to be thoroughly knowing the joins concept. So we also have a dedicated video on that as well, where you've discussed the various different kinds of joins. So make sure you check that out as well. So let me just write the query, select. Now there might be multiple athletes participating in same or different games, right? So I'll be using distinct clause here, distinct. And since we are joining the two tables, we need to have a temporary name for two different tables. So for the first table, I am taking it as d1 dot name, which is the athlete's details. Next, I am taking d1 dot country, comma d1 dot games from Olympics, which is the first table d1, and then I'll use the join keyword, which will basically self join the same table, which is Olympics again, but we have to mention a different temporary name, which will be d2 here. I hope you're understanding this. On d1 dot country equals to d2 dot country. So the condition that I'm specifying here is that we need to have the same country here. That is, the athletes participating in different Olympic games should be from the same country, but he should have played different Olympic games. So in that sense, I'm using another condition, which is AND operator, where d1 games, I'm using not equals to operator here, which will compare two operators if they are same or not. If they are not same, it will retrieve all the values. So d2 dot games, and I'll similarly use an order by, so we can have in sorted order, which is order by name as well as, let's say, country as well. Alright, so let us now execute this statement and we'll see the output. Alright, we have the resultant set. As you can see, in a resultant set, we have the details of athletes who have participated in various different games but belong to the same country. Now, if you look at A. Dijang, who's belong to China, has participated in 1992 Summer Games, whereas A. Lamusi, who is from the same country again, China, but has participated in 2012 Summer Games. Now, similarly, we have this Abdul Latif. Oh, it's a big name. Let us just take another one. We have Agostino Abangel, who's from the country Italy, who has participated in 1988 Summer Games. Similarly, we have, Alejandro Abascal Garza, who's from Spain, who has participated in various different games ranging from 1984, 1980 and 1976 Summer Games. So in this way, you can find the details of all the athletes who's from the same country but have participated in different games. Alright, let us now move on to the next query, which is write a SQL query to display only the details of employees who either earn the highest salary or the lowest salary in each department from the employee table. Alright, so let me just open another tab and we'll retrieve the details from employee table again. So start from employees. Alright, we have the employees table. So the question, let us go through the question again, which says write an SQL query to display only the details of employees who either earn the highest salary or the lowest salary in each department from the employee table. So we need to provide in the resultant set the details of all those employees who are either having the highest salary or the lowest salary from each department. Now, the logical approach to this question can be is like we can write a subquery which will partition the data based on each department ID and then identify the record with the maximum and the minimum salary for each of the partition department. And you can finally, from the main query, you can fetch only the data which matches the maximum and the minimum salary returned from the subquery. I know it is a bit confusing, so let us write the query so that we'll have a clear understanding again. So select, I'll just display all the records. So I'll use this select star operator. Select star from employees. So we'll give an alias name since it will take a lot of time writing employees each and every time. So I'm just taking it as E. Now we have to basically self join where it will compare the records from the same table. So I'm using the join statement again, and I'm using a subquery, and within the subquery I'm basically selecting the records again, which is select star. And now we have to create the partition for maximum salary and minimum salary in our employee table. So create a partition which is maximum salary over partition by department ID. Now, since we want the highest and lowest salary from each department, so I'm considering the department ID here. Now, since we are using the partition, we need to give a name for this. So we'll take it as max salary. And similarly, you have to create, minimum salary partition as well. The syntax remains same, guys. Just mention it, partition by, again, department ID. This will be minimum salary. All right. From the table, which is employees. Now, since this is a subquery and it is a derived table, we need to give a alias name for this table as well. So we'll just take it as X. And since we have used the join, we have to mention the join on which table we have performed, which is basically a self join on the employee table itself. So E dot employee ID, which is basically the primary key, which will uniquely identify all the records. So that's why I'm taking employee ID here, is equals to X dot employee ID. All right. And now mention the condition here. So the condition is basically it should match the salary with the maximum salary from the table, that is employee, or it should match the salary with the minimum salary from the same table, that is employee. So I'll be taking E dot salary is equals to X dot maximum salary. All right. Or the condition can be E dot salary equals to X dot minimum salary. So it will basically find all the details which has the salary which is either maximum or minimum, right? That is it. And you can also use order by if you want to get in a particular order. So order by X dot department ID comma X dot let's say salary as well. All right, I think we do not have any error. We can just directly run the query and we will see the output. All right, our query has been successfully executed and we have a total of 18 records. So let us just understand how the query has worked here. All right, now we have various departments IDs that are being displayed in a resultant table. Now if you look at the first department ID, which is 10, the maximum salary is 44,000 and the minimum salary is also 44,000 in this department, and the employee ID or the employee details is Jennifer Wallen. So let us just discuss another example here. So next let us move on to the department ID 20, which has the maximum salary as 60,000 and minimum salary as 30,000. Now we have a total of 2 records here, that is basically Michael Haston, who is basically having the lowest salary in the department, who belongs to the department 20, and we have Pat Fay, whose salary is the highest, which is 60,000 in the department 20, which is being displayed here in the separate section as maximum salary and minimum salary, and so on for rest of the department IDs also. It will basically segregate all the details of the employees who is having the maximum salary and the minimum salary. So I hope you've understood how to solve this query. This isn't rocket science or having a lot of difficulty to solve the question. We have just basically used a self join and a partition by statement. Now partition by is basically an optional clause used in the row number function basically, which is a clause that divides the resultant set into partitions like group of rows. Now the partition which we have created is basically the maximum salary and the minimum salary. Now when this row number is applied to each partition, which assigns a separate rank number to each partition, right? So in the same way we can see that different salaries are being assigned to the maximum salary partition that we have created. Alright, let us now move on to our next query, which is our query 4, which says write SQL query to find the 7th highest salary from a table without using the top or limit keyword. Now this is one of the most common SQL interview questions, is to find the nth highest salary of employees, where n could be anything like 3, 4, 7, 13, anything, based on number of records that the interviewer wants to know. Like in order to find the, let's say, 13th highest salary in SQL, sometimes this question is also twisted to find the nth minimum or nth highest maximum salary in SQL. Now, since many programmers only know the easiest way to solve the problem is using the top or the limit keyword, which will directly fetch the records. Now, what if the interviewer wants to know another, case to solve this problem? So in that situation, what you will do, you cannot use the top or limit keyword for that. So basically, we use the row number function or the rank or dense rank function to find the nth highest salary, highest salary from the table. But in this case, we shouldn't use all those and even the top and limit keyword. So let us now see how to write this query. So let me again use a new tab. Now, in order to find the nth maximum salary from the employee table, we have to use a correlated subquery. Now, the question that is asked is to find the 7th highest salary from the employee table. So basically, a correlated subquery is a special type of subquery where the subquery depends upon the main query and executes for each and every row returned by the main query. Now, the only drawback of this is that it is a bit slow, but it can solve the problems which are difficult to solve. For example, like to find the 15th, 20th, 100th, like in 1000th, highest salary from the employee table. So let us now write the query so that we'll have a clear understanding again. So the query is followed as select. So basically, first let us find the 7th highest salary. For that, I'll be using the maximum. Select max salary from the employees table. Sorry guys, there was a mistake. We shouldn't need the maximum salary. We just need the salaries and in the order of which they are separated. So order by salary in descending order, that is from highest to lowest, we'll be sorting them, right? So let me just execute this query. So the highest salary in our table is 93,000 and the second highest salary is 90,000. So the query that was asked for is to find the 7th highest salary, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So 80,000. Okay, we have repeated values, so we'll just use the distinct keyword as well so that we'll have unique records. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the 7th highest salary is basically 79,800. So we need to now fetch the details of the employees whose salary is basically the 7th highest salary, which is 79,800. So the query would be followed something as select star from employees. Let us take it as E1, since we will be comparing the same table, where n-1. I'll explain in the at the last why we are using n-1 here, guys. So let's just continue with the query. Now we have to write a correlated subquery, just we've discussed earlier, which is basically select count distinct salary. So I'm using distinct E2 dot salary. Basically, we are comparing the same table once again from employees E2, where mention the condition on which you want to perform the separation. Now we need to find the highest salary, right? So the salary in second table, that is E2 dot salary, should be greater than E1 dot salary. So this is what the query exactly is, guys. So let us just understand how this query is working here. So as I said, the distinct keyword is there in order to deal with any duplicate records or the salaries that are present in the table. So in order to find the nth highest salary, which is basically we need to find the 7th highest salary, right? we are only considering the unique salaries here, and the highest salary means no salary should be higher than it. For example, if the second highest salary means only one salary is higher than it, that is the first salary. Similarly, the third highest means no two salaries are higher than the first two salaries. Similarly, for the seventh highest salaries, you can say there are n-1 salaries that are higher than it. So for example, if I'm taking 7th salary, so n basically becomes 7. So 7 minus 1 is basically 6, right? So which is finding the 7th highest salary from the table. So let us just execute this and we'll see the output. So as you can see, the 7th highest salary that we have already seen the output table, which should have 79,800 as a resultant table. And it is showcasing all the details of the employees who's having the 7th highest salary, who is Payam Coughlin, whose employee ID is 122, whose email is P Coughlin, his hiring date, his job ID, and the rest of the details are being displayed. So in this way, you can find the 7th highest salary from the employees table. So this is basically a generic solution which works in all databases, including MySQL, Oracle database, SQL, PostgreSQL. And the only drawback, as I said earlier, is it is slow because the inner query will run for every row possessed by the outer query. So do let us know in the comment section below what all different methods we can use for this same query. And we also have a dedicated video on how to find the nth highest salary using various keywords like the top, limit, using dense rank functions. So you can check that out as well. So moving on to the final question, guys. The final question is, write an SQL query to fetch the details of all the shows and the countries and sort the shows made in India at the top and the rest of them in ascending order. I think this is from Netflix table. So from the Netflix table. So let us just retrieve the details first and we'll see how the query works. Select star from Netflix. Alright, so the Netflix table has the show ID, type, title, director, country, date added, release year, rating, duration, genre. So let us go through the query again. It says that we need to fetch the details of all the shows. That is basically the title. These are the show names, right? And the countries. We have the countries also which they are made in. And sort the shows that are made in India at the top. That is, we need to display all the shows that were made in India at the top level and the rest of them in ascending order from the Netflix table. So I hope the question is clear, guys. So let us now write the query. Alright, since we are only concerned with the the show name, that is the title, and the country, we will just select those. Now we may have the titles repeated, so I'm just taking the distinct values, distinct title, comma, country from Netflix, and we'll basically order by country first and we'll see how the output is. Alright, so it basically displays all the show details of all the shows that were made in by different countries. For example, you can see El Patron, Rodrigo de Un Crimen has been made from Argentina. We have a level 16 from Canada. So the query that was asked is, we need to sort the shows made in India at the top and rest of all the shows in ascending order. So basically we need to have the show names that are in India. So let me just check. We have, we have certain shows that were made in India as well. So you can see there are a list of so many records of all the shows. For example, Angamali Diaries, Anjam, Dhanak, Gurgaon, Jeans, Minasara, Kanavu, and so many others. So basically in a resultant set, we want all the details of all these to be at the top and the rest of them in the ascending order. Like for example, Australia, and then we need Brazil, and then Canada, and similarly France. So basically in the alphabetical order. So the logical approach for this is using the case expression, guys. Now that is the tricky part where the interviewer wants to know whether you're familiar with this concept of case expressions. So basically the case expression goes through the conditions and return a value when the first condition is met. Just like an if and else statement you use for other programming languages like C, C++. So once the condition is true, it will stop reading and return the result. And if no conditions are true, it returns the values in the else clause. So basically we need to mention the case condition here. All right. So the query is followed as, so mention the case keyword. The syntax is followed in this way, which is case when country is equals to India, then return 0. That is basically return the true values if there is any record or the title name having India, else we'll mention it as 1. And finally we'll end the statement, which is again the keyword we have to use for case expression. Alright, so let us now just implement this and we'll see the output. So there was a minor error, guys. So as you can see in a resultant set, we have the details of all the shows that were made in India that is being displayed at the top. As you can see, we have all the list of all the shows of India. And then after that, the query states that we need to sort the rest of the remaining shows that were made from different countries in ascending order. As you can see, just like we have discussed earlier, the country names have been sorted in ascending order, like Argentina, Austria, Brazil, Canada, China, Italy, Japan, Nigeria, and so on, Pakistan, United States, right? So United States is the last country which is being sorted in the alphabetical order. Now the same question can be asked, when we have multiple conditions to specify. Now for example, if I want all the shows that were made in India as well as Germany to be at the top and the rest of the remaining shows from different countries to be sorted in the ascending order after the shows that were made in India and Germany. So in that case, the query just remains the same. You just need to add another condition. Now first, which is case and country is equals to India, then 0. Next, the condition will be case. I don't think we need to write the case again and again. When country equals to Germany, then we'll specify it as 1. So if there is no country that is having shows other than India and Germany, so we'll mention it as 2, and we are ending the statement. So let us just execute this query and we'll see the output. So as you can see in a resultant query, firstly we have the case condition which will retrieve all the details of the shows that were made in India, as you can see in a resultant set. And after that we need to have the shows that were made in Germany. So since we have mentioned the country as Germany, it is being displayed as Germany. That is the titles or the shows that were made in Germany. And the rest of the remaining shows that belongs to other countries, and we need to sort them in ascending order in the form of their alphabetical orders, like Argentina, Australia, Brazil, and so on. So this query is asked in general, when you want to give certain records a priority. That is, you want to mention, you want to display certain records at the top and the remaining at the bottom. So in that case, this query will be useful, which can be done using a case expression. And with that, we have come to the end of today's session, guys. These were some of the top 5, SQL interview question and answers that would have given you an insight into what kind of questions could be asked in your next interview, and you need to be prepared for it as well. As discussed earlier, not just the theoretical questions, you need to be prepared for the real-time SQL queries where you have to write the queries, exact queries. So in that case, you have to be prepared for that as well. So in this session, we only covered, the difficulty level from easy to moderate level. So in our upcoming videos, we'll discuss in the same way like the top 5 or top 10 tricky questions where the difficulty becomes a bit more higher, where we'll discuss advanced SQL queries that might be asked in your next interview questions. Thank you for watching the video, guys. I hope you found this tutorial informative and helpful. If you did, make sure to leave us a like and share it with your friends and colleagues. If you have any further queries regarding any of the topics that were covered in today's session, feel free to let us know in the comment section below, and a team of experts will be more than happy to help resolve all your queries at the earliest. Until next time, stay safe and keep coding.